Welcome, dear friend, to our quiet sanctuary. It is a true pleasure and indeed a comfort to know you have chosen to spend this gentle portion of your evening with us here at our channel as we prepare to journey to a place of deep repose. If you find a measure of peace in the tales we share, and if your heart feels inclined, we would be ever so grateful if you were to like this recording and perhaps subscribe, so that we might continue to bring these soothing narratives to you. Before we embark upon our story, where light sings softly to sleeping moss, we shall first share a moment of gentle breathing, a soft pathway to invite calm and prepare your spirit for the wonders ahead. Should you feel ready to step directly into the Lumina Dell, you will find the timestamps for each chapter nestled within the description below this recording. Now, if you are willing, allow yourself to settle, to find that perfect nook of comfort wherever you may be. Perhaps you can feel the gentle support beneath you, a sense of your form sinking ever so slightly yet securely into the soft embrace of your resting place, much like the yielding moss of the dell itself. You might draw your coverings a little closer, creating a warm, safe haven, a cocoon of quietude just for this moment. This is your own precious time, a gift to yourself, to let the echoes of the day fade like distant bird calls at twilight, and to invite the serene atmosphere of the Lumina Dell to begin its gentle work, its soft light already beginning to touch the edges of your awareness, guiding you towards a state of profound relaxation. Let us, if you wish, take a soothing breath together, a breath as soft and natural as the air in the Lumina Dell. Notice, if you will, the easy passage of air as it flows gently inward, perhaps through your nose, carrying with it a hint of the dell's clean, sweet fragrance, and then a slow, unhurried exhalation, perhaps through your mouth, like the gentlest of sighs, releasing all that is no longer needed. With each breath, you might sense a deepening softness within your body, a quiet release of any tightness it may have unknowingly held, as if unseen hands were smoothing away the creases of the day. Imagine, if you like, the warm golden light of the glow moss pulsing softly with your breath, its comforting radiance filling you with each inhale and washing away any lingering disquiet with each exhale, leaving only peace in its wake. Should your thoughts begin to wander, as thoughts sometimes do, like playful sprites in a sun-dappled clearing, that is perfectly all right, a natural part of settling. Simply acknowledge them with a gentle nod, as you might greet a passing butterfly, and then softly guide your attention back to the rhythm of your breath or to the sound of my voice, which will soon carry you into the heart of our story. There is nothing more for you to do now but to listen, to allow the words and the peaceful ambience they weave to cradle you, to carry you towards rest. Feel the gentle pulse of the Lumina Dell, its steady ancient rhythm of life flowing serenely by, and let it bear away any concerns, any small uncertainties, leaving you light and free. Allow yourself to become one with the quiet harmony that awaits, and as the enchanting atmosphere of the dell enfolds you, may its gentle magic bring you a deep and abiding sense of peace and utter contentment. Now, let us begin our journey into the heart of the Lumina Dell, where light sings softly to sleeping moss, and where serene wonders await to guide you into a truly restful repose. Chapter 1. A gentle entry to sanctuary. The world beyond had become a muted hum, a thing of indistinct edges and quiet, persistent pressures, and Elian, who carried a weariness not of the body alone, but of the spirit too, sought a pause, a place where the hum might finally cease. It was more by an instinct of the heart than any clear path that Elian's feet, treading softly over fallen leaves that whispered like old secrets, came upon an opening, almost perfectly concealed by a curtain of trailing ivy, its leaves the color of deep jade, and the low sweeping boughs of an ancient silver-barked tree. There was no grand archway, no beckoning sign, only a subtle parting in the world's green fabric, an invitation murmured on a breath of unusually warm, sweet-scented air that seemed to emanate from within. Stepping through that gentle veil was like passing from a room of ordinary daylight into a space lit by the softest, most tender glow. The Lumina Dell, for so it felt it must be named in the quiet recesses of Elian's mind, unfolded like a secret whispered into the earth's cupped hand. The ground beneath Elian's worn traveling boots was not rough earth or sharp stone, but an astonishing carpet of moss, so deep and yielding it was like stepping onto a cloud that had tethered itself to the world. Its color was a vibrant, living green, and from it, or perhaps through it, pulsed a faint, warm, golden light, as if the very soil breathed a gentle luminescence. The air itself felt different here, softer, imbued with a silken quality that caressed the skin like the finest, most delicate gauze. It carried a scent that was at once deeply earthy, like freshly turned soil after a spring shower, and yet also held a subtle, comforting sweetness, perhaps of unseen blossoms that bloomed only in such hidden sanctuaries. Towering above, the ancient trees, their bark smooth and cool like polished river stones, spread their broad, uniquely shaped leaves to form a living canopy, filtering the unseen light from above into dappled patterns that danced with an immeasurable slowness upon the mossy floor. The rustling of these leaves was not a dry, brittle sound, but a soft, continuous shushing reminiscent of a far distant sea, or perhaps the gentle turning of pages in a very large, very old book filled with peaceful tales. A profound quiet pervaded the dell, yet it was not an empty silence. It was a quietude filled with tiny, almost imperceptible sounds, the faintest drip of moisture from a fern frond onto the plush moss, the contented, barely there hum of a hidden insect, the sigh of the air as it moved almost invisibly through the leaves. These were sounds that did not break the peace, but rather wove themselves into its very fabric, creating a symphony of stillness that began to seep into Elian's awareness, pushing out the lingering echoes of the world left behind. It was a place that seemed to understand weariness and offered, without question, its gentle embrace. Drawn by an unspoken sense of welcome, Elian moved further into the dell, each step cushioned, each breath easier than the last. The light, though subdued, was perfectly sufficient, painting everything in hues of soft gold and deep, restful green. It seemed to emanate from the moss itself, and perhaps from the very air, a diffuse, tender radiance that held no harshness, only a comforting, steady glow. The shapes of the land were soft and rounded, the dell itself a shallow, bowl-like depression, cradled by gentle slopes that rose to meet the protective circle of trees. Near the base of one of the largest silver-barked trees, whose roots formed a series of smooth, moss-covered buttresses, Elian found a naturally formed alcove. It was a space almost like a small, open-fronted cave, sheltered from above by the tree's vast spread, and from the sides by the gentle curve of the earth. The moss grew thickly here, an inviting bed, and a large flat stone warmed by the ambient light, offered a natural seat or perhaps a small table. Here, in this protected haven, Elian sank down, not with a sigh of exhaustion, but with a slow, deep exhalation of something akin to relief. The feeling of the outside world with its muted demands and its quiet ache of undefined longing began to recede, like a tide gently drawing away from a peaceful shore. The Lumina Dell did not ask for anything, did not require understanding or effort. It simply was in its profound and gentle beauty. Elian watched as a single broad leaf, detached from a high branch, spiraled downwards with an almost conscious grace, taking an immeasurable time to finally settle upon the glowing moss, where it rested like a hand placed gently upon a sleeping child. And as the initial sense of wonder began to meld with a deeper feeling of safety and profound calm, Elian felt the first true tendrils of rest unfurl within. The quietude of the dell was not merely around, but was beginning to permeate, to become a part of the inner landscape. The light sang its soft song to the sleeping moss, and in that gentle music, Elian closed weary eyes, not to sleep immediately, but to listen more deeply to the silence, feeling the protective embrace of this unexpected sanctuary, a place where, perhaps, the spirit could finally begin to mend. Chapter 2. Observing Dell's Peaceful Wonders. Time in the Lumina Dell did not march to the familiar beat of the world Elian had left behind. Rather, it flowed like a slow, warm current, unmeasured by the passage of sun or the turning of celestial bodies, marked only by the subtle deepening or softening of the golden light that seemed to breathe from the very earth. Days, or perhaps they were simply cycles of gentle illumination and even gentler dimness, passed without count, each one a soft pearl, strung onto an endless thread of tranquility. Elian, having found a profound solace in a sheltered alcove, began to truly see, to truly feel the intricate, quiet life of this hidden haven. The glow moss, the astonishing carpet of living light, became a source of endless, gentle fascination. Its soft, pulsing luminescence, a warm, golden hue, seemed to respond to the profound stillness of the dell, perhaps even to Elian's own quiet presence. When true sunlight, piercing the dense canopy in rare ethereal shafts, managed to touch the moss, it did not simply illuminate it, it appeared to weave itself into the very fabric of the green, creating intricate, ever-shifting tapestries of light and tender warmth upon the ground. Elian would spend long, peaceful moments simply observing these slow dances, feeling the gentle heat radiate upwards, a comforting presence against the skin. One cycle, as the light held a particularly soft, honeyed quality, Elian was drawn to a cluster of smooth, gray-veined stones nestled amongst the moss, their surfaces worn by ages of gentle stillness. These were the Harmonic Stones, though Elian did not know their name, only their effect. Choosing one that was bathed in a patch of the most radiant moss light, its surface pleasantly warm to the touch, Elian settled beside it, leaning gently against its solid, ancient form. It was then that a new layer of the dell's subtle magic revealed itself. A low, resonant hum, a vibration so deep and foundational it seemed to be the very heartbeat of the earth itself. It traveled up from the ground, through the moss, into Elian's resting form, a thrum of profound peace that seemed to quiet the restless chatter of the mind and soothe the very marrow of the bones. This gentle vibration became a companion, a silent, reassuring presence. Elian found that by simply resting near one of these harmonic stones, The breath would naturally deepen, thoughts would soften and drift away like milkweed floss on a gentle breeze, and a sense of profound, rooted calm would settle in, as if anchored to the tranquil core of the world. It was not a magic of sudden spectacle, but of slow, pervasive influence, a gentle persuasion toward stillness that resonated with the deepest parts of Elian's being, parts that had long yearned for such quiet solace. The dell was also home to creatures, though they were as gentle and unobtrusive as the landscape itself. Small, downy-furred beings, their coats the color of dried ferns and soft earth, would sometimes emerge from hidden burrows, their movements slow and deliberate as they nibbled on tender shoots or seeds. Their large, dark eyes held no fear, only a placid curiosity, and they would often pause in their foraging to regard Elian with a soft, unblinking gaze before continuing on their peaceful way. Birds, too, flitted through the upper branches, their plumage in muted shades of olive and russet, their songs not sharp trills, but soft, melodious warbles that dripped like honey through the tranquil air, adding another layer to the dell's soothing symphony. The most frequent was the gentle two-note call of the downy cooer, a sound that became synonymous with the dell's enduring peace. Elian began to engage in simple, mindful activities born not of need, but of a gentle inclination. Sometimes it was the gathering of fallen twigs from the silver-barked trees, their surfaces smooth and cool, to create a tiny, almost symbolic hearth near the alcove, though no fire was ever lit, for the dell provided its own warmth. Other times, it was the careful arrangement of uniquely shaped pebbles found by the murmuring streamlets, creating patterns that held a quiet, personal meaning, only to be returned to the water's edge when the impulse passed. These were actions without purpose, beyond the gentle engagement of hands and mind, a quiet conversation with the elements of the dell. A particular delight was found in observing the water itself. The streamlets that meandered through the Lumina Dell were not rushing torrents, but slow, clear flows, their beds lined with stones polished to a silken smoothness by eons of gentle passage. Elian would sit for long stretches, watching the way the ambient golden light played upon the water's surface, creating shimmering, ever-changing patterns that danced and flowed. Sometimes a leaf would embark upon a slow journey downstream, a tiny, silent vessel on a voyage of peaceful exploration, and Elian would follow its progress with a soft, contemplative gaze until it disappeared around a mossy bend. In these quiet observations, in these gentle connections with the moss, the stones, the creatures, and the waters, Elian felt a gradual knitting together of frayed edges within. The weariness was still present, but it was changing, softening. No longer an ache, but a gentle reminder of the deep rest now being received. The Lumina Dell was not merely a place, but a presence, a living, breathing sanctuary that asked only for stillness and in return offered a balm of unparalleled peace, a quiet song hummed by the very earth, slowly and surely restoring the quiet places of the soul. Chapter 3. Immersed in Restorative Deepness. Drawn by an unseen current of gentle curiosity, much like the slow streamlets that wound their way through the mossy floor, Elian began to explore the deeper recesses of the Lumina Dell. Each step taken was a further immersion into its unique and soothing magic, a journey into a living tapestry woven from light, scent, and subtle, harmonious vibrations. The further Elian ventured from the familiar comfort of the alcove, the more the dell seemed to reveal its quiet wonders, as if trusting this gentle guest with its most tender secrets. In a particularly sheltered hollow, bathed in an exceptionally soft and pervasive golden glow, Elian discovered a patch of what could only be described as Lumina-flora. These were not tall or ostentatious plants, but low-growing, with broad velvety leaves the color of deep emerald. From their centers rose delicate chalice-shaped blossoms, their petals appearing almost translucent, tinged with the faintest blush of rose against the pervasive gold. What made them truly remarkable was the light that emanated from within the cup of each flower, a warm, steady radiance that pulsed with an even gentler rhythm than the glow moss. As Elian watched, one of the closed buds began to unfurl, its petals parting with an almost imperceptible sigh, releasing not only its soft light, but also a comforting and delicate fragrance, a blend of warm spices, sweet honey, and a hint of something akin to freshly baked bread. Hours, or what felt like hours, slipped by unnoticed as Elian sat nearby, simply observing the slow, serene dance of these living lanterns, their light and scent, a balm to the senses. Near a tranquil pool, where the water lay so still it perfectly mirrored the glowing canopy above, Elian encountered another of the dell's subtle marvels, the ephemeral dewdrops. These were not the ordinary condensation found on leaves in the early morn. These were significantly larger, clinging to the broad, waxy leaves of certain deep green plants that grew near the water's edge, each droplet like a perfectly formed jewel. They shimmered with an inner light, and as Elian gazed into one, it seemed to hold not just a reflection of the surroundings, but soft, fleeting, silent images from the dell's recent past. A tiny iridescent beetle meticulously cleaning its antennae, a shaft of sunlight briefly illuminating a single strand of spider silk, the slow, graceful sway of a fern frond in a breath of air. These visions were peaceful, mundane, yet utterly captivating in their gentle simplicity. And then, as if its purpose were fulfilled, the dewdrop would slowly dissipate, not by dripping, but by dissolving into the air, releasing in its vanishing a delicate, uplifting fragrance of fresh rain, sweet earth, and an almost tangible sense of profound contentment that lingered like a happy memory. The harmonic stones, too, seemed more prevalent in these deeper parts of the dell, their low, resonant hum creating an underlying thrum of peace that was almost palpable. Elian found a particular stone, larger than most, nestled at the base of an ancient gnarled tree whose bark was festooned with feathery moss. Resting against it, feeling its steady vibration and the warmth of the sun-dappled moss beneath, Elian experienced a profound sense of rootedness, as if becoming part of the ancient, tranquil landscape. The vibrations seemed to travel through every fiber of being, loosening knots of tension that had been held for so long they had become unnoticed, allowing a deeper level of relaxation to unfold than Elian had thought possible. It was a sensation of being gently tuned, like a fine instrument, to the peaceful frequency of the dell itself. The very air in these secluded spots felt richer, laden with the combined sense of the glow moss, the Lumina-flora, and the lingering perfume of the ephemeral dewdrops. It was an atmosphere that invited slow, deep breaths, each inhalation feeling as though it were drawing in not just air, but the very essence of tranquility. Elian noticed that even the qualities of silence here was different, deeper, more resonant, as if the sounds of the outer world were not just distant, but had never existed at all. It was a silence that held no loneliness, only a profound sense of completeness and peace. Sometimes Elian would simply lie upon a thick carpet of glow moss in a sun-dappled clearing, feeling its gentle warmth seep into tired muscles, watching the slow drift of luminous particles in the air or the intricate patterns of light filtering through the leaves far above. These were moments of pure being, without thought or agenda, simply an immersion in the sensory richness of the Lumina Dell. The soft light pulsed, the air hummed with unseen energies, the scents comforted, and the textures soothed. It was a holistic embrace, a restorative bath for the spirit, washing away the dust of a world that had asked too much, and offering in its place only the gentle invitation to rest and to be. The textures of the dell were a constant source of quiet pleasure, the surprising softness of the glow moss underhand, like the finest down, the cool, smooth surface of the harmonic stones, worn by time and stillness, the velvety undersides of the broad leaves of the silver-barked trees, the delicate, almost papery feel of a shed Lumina-flora petal. Each touch was a grounding, a reminder of the tangible, gentle reality of this magical place. Elian found that by focusing on these simple tactile sensations, the mind grew quieter, more centered, anchored in the present moment by the comforting touch of the natural world. Through this deeper engagement with the dell's unique restorative elements, the lingering shadows of Elian's former weariness began to truly dissolve. It was not a conscious effort of healing, but a passive absorption of the peace that permeated everything here. The light of the Lumina-flora illuminated forgotten corners of the heart. The hum of the harmonic stones resonated with an inner stillness, and the scent of the ephemeral dewdrops filled the spirit with a quiet, unlooked-for joy. Elian was becoming attuned to the dell's gentle magic, and in doing so was rediscovering a profound innate capacity for peace. Chapter 4. Reaching inner stillness and peace. A profound and gentle sense of acceptance, as pervasive and soft as the golden light that filled the Lumina Dell, began to settle over Elian. It was not a resignation, but a quiet understanding, a peaceful surrender to the rhythms of this serene sanctuary. The need to question, to analyze, or to strive for some future state had simply melted away, like morning mist, in the warmth of the glow moss. Thoughts, when they arose in Elian's mind, were no longer insistent or troubling. They appeared like dandelion seeds drifting on a warm, gentle breeze, observed with a detached curiosity, allowed to float by without judgment or attachment, and then vanish into the tranquil air. The joy Elian found in these timeless cycles was in the simplest of acts, the most unassuming of observations. Hours might be spent merely tracing the intricate lichen-like patterns on the surface of a smooth gray pebble found beside one of the murmuring streamlets, feeling its coolness and its history under a fingertip. Or perhaps Elian would sit utterly still by the edge of the clear water, listening not just to its gentle trickle, but to the layered symphony of the dell, the soft, almost inaudible sigh of the wind breathing through the broad leaves of the silver-barked trees, the distant, flute-like two-note call of the downy cooer, a sound that had become as comforting as a familiar lullaby, and the ever-present foundational hum of the harmonic stones, a vibration that seemed to underpin all existence within this peaceful realm. The very air of the Lumina Dell felt nourishing, alive with a gentle vitality. Elian would often take slow, deliberate breaths, drawing in the sweet, earthy scent of the moss, the delicate perfume of the Lumina-flora, and the clean, fresh fragrance left by the ephemeral dewdrops. Each inhalation felt as if it were filling not just the lungs, but the entire being with peace, and each exhalation seemed to carry away the last vestiges of any old unnoticed burdens, dissolving them into the warm, receptive earth. A lightness, an effortless ease permeated Elian's body as if a great, invisible weight had been gently lifted and laid aside. There was a growing sense of being utterly present, of thoughts quietening to a near whisper, allowing the full sensory experience of the Dell to fill Elian's awareness. The focus was not on doing, but on simply being with the light, being with the sounds, being with the textures and scents. It was a state of mindful presence that arose naturally, without effort, encouraged by the profound tranquility of the surroundings. The constant, gentle pulse of the glow moss served as a soft anchor, a reminder of the quiet, persistent life force that flowed through everything in this hidden place. Sometimes, Elian would find a comfortable hollow in the moss, sheltered by the roots of an ancient tree, and simply lie there, gazing up through the canopy at the filtered light. The play of light and shadow on the leaves above created an ever-changing mosaic, a slow, silent ballet that was endlessly captivating. There was no need for stories or entertainment when the world itself offered such gentle, unfolding beauty. The warmth of the moss seeped into Elian's back. The gentle hum of the earth resonated through the ground, and a feeling of complete safety and profound contentment would wash over, as soothing as a warm tide. The subtle lore of the Dell, hinted at by the ancient smooth stones with their faint, swirling carvings, offered no answers, only a deeper sense of peace. Elian would sometimes run a hand over these carvings, feeling their incredible smoothness and the faint, almost imperceptible warmth they radiated. They spoke of eons of quietude, of a peace so old it was woven into the very fabric of the stones. There was no urge to understand their meaning, only to appreciate their silent, steadfast presence, another testament to the enduring tranquility of this special place. They felt like the sleeping thoughts of the Dell itself, ancient and kind. Even the simplest of meals, a few gathered berries, sweet and juicy, or a sip of pure water from the streamlet, tasting of clean stone and moss, became an act of quiet gratitude and connection. Each taste was savored, each sensation fully experienced. The boundaries between Elian and the Dell seemed to soften, to become more permeable, as if the peace of the place was not just around, but also within, flowing freely. This state of inner stillness was not an emptiness, but a fullness, a richness of being. It was the quiet joy of a spirit unburdened, of a mind at rest, of a heart open to the gentle wonder of existence. The Lumina Dell had offered its profound gift, and Elian, by simply being present and receptive, had accepted it fully. The song of light and moss, the hum of stone and earth, the scent of flower and dew, all these had woven themselves into Elian's being, creating an inner sanctuary of peace that felt as real and enduring as the hidden Dell itself. And in that quiet place, all was deeply well. Chapter 5. Carrying peace beyond Dell. The passage of time in the Lumina Dell remained a fluid, gentle thing, unmeasured by clocks or calendars. Yet a subtle shift began to make itself felt within Elian, a quiet stirring, not of restlessness, but of a serene readiness. It was as if the deep well of inner calm, so generously filled by the Dell's embrace, was now overflowing, ready to be carried not as a memory, but as a living presence, back into the world beyond the ivy-covered threshold. The thought of departure brought no flicker of anxiety, no shadow of reluctance, only a quiet curiosity, a gentle sense of completion. The restoration felt profound, a stillness that had settled into the very marrow, a peaceful hum that resonated with the harmonic stones now echoing softly within Elian's own heart. As Elian made quiet preparations, the dell itself seemed to offer a tender, silent farewell. The glow moss underfoot, which had been a constant source of warmth and soft light, appeared to pulse with a particularly steady and rich golden luminescence, its silent song a benediction. The Lumina-flora, their chalice-like blossoms fully open, released their most comforting fragrance, a blend of warm spice and sweet contentment that clung to the air like a gentle blessing. Even the distant melodic call of the downy cooer seemed to hold a note of peaceful acknowledgement, a soft farewell from the dell's wild heart. One last time, Elian rested against a large harmonic stone, feeling its familiar soothing vibration. It was no longer just an external sensation, but a resonance felt deep within, a frequency of peace now internalized. The air, thick with the scent of damp earth and the dissipating magic of the last ephemeral dewdrops, felt like a final comforting embrace. Each breath was slow and full, carrying the essence of the dell, its quietude, its gentle light, its ancient wisdom into the deepest recesses of Elian's being, storing it carefully, lovingly. With a heart full of quiet gratitude, Elian walked slowly toward the hidden entrance, each step on the yielding moss a soft goodbye. There was no sadness in this parting, for the Lumina Dell was not a place to be possessed, but a gift to be experienced, its peace a seed to be nurtured and carried forth. The silver-barked trees, with their broad rustling leaves, seemed to bow almost imperceptibly, their ancient presence a silent promise of enduring tranquility, always here, always waiting. Reaching the curtain of ivy, Elian paused, turning for a final gaze upon the sheltered haven. The golden light within glowed with an inviting warmth. The air hummed with its gentle secrets, and the profound peace was almost tangible. It was a sight that would be etched forever in Elian's memory, not as a picture, but as a feeling, a lived experience of perfect calm. Peace, like softest down, settled upon the dell, and also upon Elian's spirit. Stepping back through the veil of ivy was like emerging from a beautiful, soothing dream into a world that, while familiar, now seemed subtly different, viewed through eyes that had learned to see the quiet beauty in stillness. The muted hum of the everyday world was still there, perhaps, but it no longer held the same power. It was now just one sound among many, and within Elian resided a deeper, more resonant silence, a core of tranquility found in the Lumina Dell. The journey onward was taken with a lighter step, a quieter mind. The weariness that had first led Elian to the Dell's hidden threshold was gone, replaced by a gentle resilience, a peaceful strength. The memory of the glow moss brought a warmth to the soul, the echo of the harmonic stones a steadying calm to the thoughts, and the fragrance of the Lumina-flora a sweet contentment to the heart. The Lumina Dell had imparted its gifts generously, and Elian carried them not as a burden, but as an integral part of a newly restored self. And so, Elian moved forward, carrying the quiet song of light and moss, the gentle hum of stone and earth, not just as a cherished memory, but as a living, breathing piece within. The Lumina Dell remained a secret, sacred place, but its essence, its profound and restorative calm, now journeyed with Elian, a comforting presence to be drawn upon in all the days and nights to come, a reminder that even in a bustling world, a sanctuary of deep stillness could always be found within the quiet heart, and all was deeply, truly well.